Today we've got Aliyah Patel, who's kindly joined us to share her dental journey with us today. She had 4 offers from dental schools, and on top of that, she had an offer for dental hygiene and therapy as well. So we'll get into how she chose how she chose her choices, and how she even chose the 5th choice as well. And she runs a page, Tutoring by Aliyah, where I found her on Instagram. So she'll tell us all about that at the end as well. So we'll get straight into this. Thank you, Aliyah, for coming on today.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. Honestly, it's such a pleasure.
So I always like to start with why you would choose to study dentistry. Why would you want to become a dentist?
Yes, great. Okay. I think there are ultimately 3 reasons that it came down to for me why dentistry was the perfect career for me. And I think to begin with, it's such a complex career, such a multifaceted career that brings so many different other careers into it. For example, you've got engineering, artistry, you've got entrepreneurial spirits in it as well, you've got science, you've got there's just so many careers in dentistry. So I think it really tied together all my passions in a very beautiful way. And I think another reason why dentistry was the right career for me was because of that fulfillment factor. And I think that's with loads of careers in healthcare, that you're able to make a small difference in a person's life.
Yeah.
And I think in dentistry, the really great thing about it that sets it apart from medicine is that you're able to see your patient not just when they're poorly, but also just in regular checkups when they're nice and fit and healthy as well. So you can
Yeah.
really build that rapport with your patient.
Yeah.
And I think the third reason was because the skills that I saw in my dentist when I was on work experience and the characteristics that they had, it's in fact characteristics and skills that my teachers are complimenting me on and my friends. So I think that was just the final reassurance to me that, you know what, maybe I can do this and
Yeah.
this is the right career for me.
So before that, did you have any exposure to dentistry apart from your own dentist? Is it in the family? Is there somebody who's a dentist, aunties or uncle, or was this something completely different from what your family's used to?
I've got a couple of doctors in my extended family, but absolutely no dentists. So, absolutely no dentist. And so, like you said, my first exposure to dentistry was just my regular checkups and then also my orthodontic treatment at my own practice. But yes.
All right. So your family didn't try and talk you out of dentistry.
No, actually, they were really, really supportive
Yeah.
of me pursuing a career in dentistry because, as I said, we've got medics in the family, and they always talk about, you know what, I should have gone for dentistry instead. So I
Yeah.
got that perspective from them, and then when I was on work experience, I got another perspective from dentists. So it was also almost like trying to find the middle path between what the dentist saying and what the medic's saying and what's
Yeah.
best for me.
Okay. So was there one defining point where you set it in your mind that, okay, it's dentistry? Did you have any other career paths that you were considering? Or was it just step by step, different things were coming together that then made you cement dentistry as your career path?
I think I actually chose dentistry quite late. It was year 12. Year 12 summer, I was still in 2 minds because I'd completed some medicine work experience in a hospital and I really, really enjoyed that. And then earlier to that, I'd completed um, some dentistry work experience and then I had a little bit more dentistry work experience in that summer as well.
Yeah.
So when I came back from that, I was in complete confusion because I thought, okay, this whole time I thought I wanted to do dentistry, but now I've explored a career in medicine and it's so exciting as well. So I think at that point, I really needed to think, Aliyah, what's best for you and what
Yeah.
do you want from your career?
Yeah. Are there certain aspects, because I know medistry versus dentistry, choosing between the two can be a big thing for people. Are there any
Yeah.
things that you liked about medicine that maybe dentistry couldn't offer? Putting you
I
on the spot
think,
here.
yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. I think the thing that I really liked about medicine is the fact that you're supported by such a great multidisciplinary team. Like, you're never alone. Whereas I think what a lot of people notice about dentistry is for the majority of your time, it's just you and your dental nurse.
Yeah.
So for some people, that can get a bit lonely. Um, but I guess for me, as long as I knew that I had that network around me in the rest of my general dental practice in the future, hopefully, I think that was something I came to terms with, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's absolutely fine.
Okay, so decision is made. Aliyah wants to
Decision
become
is
a
made.
dentist. What does she do next?
Great. Okay. So at this point, I'd completed some work experience just to get that exposure and to see whether it was right for me. Now we get the most daunting UK cut, as we called it. I think it's now the UCAT. But honestly, that was the most difficult part of the application process for me, because I'd never done something like an examination like that was so high intensity, that was so time pressured, and I think I really struggled with that. So I'd heard that I should purchase a Medify resource and basically work from there. But I wasn't seeing the progress that I wanted to, especially quite initially, and it made me lose motivation. And I think I only began approximately 4 weeks before my booking date, which I would not recommend. I'd say leave yourself a good 6 weeks. And then I think it was only in the last 2 weeks that I actually started seeing results, and I actually started making more progress. So consistency is the key.
Yeah. And
if that's an advice to give out.
Okay, so you talked about after your work experience, it was the UK CAT.
Yes.
The work experience, was it only with your regular dentist, or did you go anywhere else for work experience?
In fact, my work experience wasn't even with my own dentist.
Okay.
So my practice didn't offer it, so I had to go through alternative routes. I remember asking my family if they had any contacts or if they knew anyone who'd be able to give me some work experience. I'd emailed loads of places, heard absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So I think I was able to organize 1 week through a family friend's friend. So quite a long-winded thing. And also there was a lovely girl in my class whose dad was a dentist. So I kindly asked her for if her dad would be offering it, and I got her his email, and then we communicated through there, and he kindly offered me a week there as well, and that's how I got my 2 weeks.
All right. And how did you put together the rest of your application when you're, the things that you put in your personal statement? So voluntary work, things that you're doing extracurricular, what else were you doing?
Yeah, okay, great. I think I've always been quite an extracurricular person. I love getting involved with things going on in high school. I was head girl of my school as well. So I had that exposure to lots of different environments, and I was able to develop lots of skills that were transferable to dentistry. For example, that leadership. And then there was also like our end of year party I organized.
Okay.
And so that was talking to caterers, that was negotiating pricing, that was dressing the venue, getting an assembly put together. So I think from there I had that entrepreneurial spirit as well. I'd grown up watching The Apprentice, so I'd got those skills in there. And then I think, I was also part of the student council.
Yeah.
Volunteering was actually, I really, really enjoyed, and I think that was something that kept me sane during A-levels.
Yeah.
So I think my tutoring passion began from there, because I volunteered at a tutoring centre where I was teaching maths and English to primary school pupils once again. And then I was also volunteering at a care home. So I was able to work with people from both ends of the spectrum, very young and quite old as well. So I think working with those two ends of the spectrum, it just made me appreciate how valuable life is, and the career that I'm about to go in, it can make such an impact on people's lives. So that was something that really consolidated my choice.
Were you volunteering for a couple of weeks, months? What was the length of time you're volunteering for?
Okay. So for my tutoring volunteering, I think it was a good 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
And for my care home work experience, for my care home volunteering, I think it was only 3 months due to the high volume of people that wanted to volunteer there. So they could only offer me a small period of time, which was that 3 months.
Yeah. Did it take long to try and organize that volunteering experience at the care home?
Yes, it actually did.
Because I mean, some people might be wanting to do something similar. You know,
Yeah, of
just
course.
what advice can you give to that?
I think initially what I did was I rang up and they said they had an application form online. And I think a lot of the times they will have an application form online that you can download, you can fill in the details, and then you can send off. But I think following that, it's really important to keep on top of it, maybe ringing in, hi there, I was just wondering if you've been able to have a look at my application. I'm just so passionate about volunteering for your place, and just I think building that communication with them, that you've not just sent an application in and left it, but you really, really want to work to volunteer there.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. And then now it's about trying to get your personal statement ready and then sending it off. UCAS application, October 15 deadline. How did you
Yeah.
approach the personal statement, and how did you submit it on the deadline day? You know, how long did you give it?
Oh, okay. So in terms of the personal statement, I was supposed to hand in a draft before summer. I didn't do that, which wasn't a very good idea. But when it came into September, I had my focused head on, and I knew that this was something I needed to get done. At the same time, I did history, so my historical inquiry was also due in those coming months. So I had to do a lot of research for that as well.
Yeah.
But what I did was I kind of pushed that to a side for 2 weeks, and I spent 2 weeks fully concentrating on my personal statement. And I think I got to about 5 or 6 drafts, but each draft was so different from each other. And my school was really supportive in the sense that if you gave them a personal statement, they'd have it back to you by the end of the day, annotated and with feedback and advice.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I was very well supported. I also had my friends. There were 2 medics in my friendship group who were also applying. And I think so through that joint support, I was able to, at the end of it, with lots and lots of hard work, produce something that I was proud of.
Yeah. Have you looked at it since?
Yes, I have actually.
What do you think about it now that you're in dental school?
Now that I'm in dentistry, it's really funny because something I talked about in my personal statement was about let me think. It was about the social inequalities and access to healthcare. So I remember reading an article in BBC News called "Rotten Teeth More Likely in Deprived Areas."
Yeah.
So I focused a paragraph of my personal statement, linked it to work experience in there, and then this is and I didn't realize how big of a topic it was, community dentistry and public and general public health, or general dental health, I mean, because it's now a topic that we do so much in dentistry.
Yeah.
In my university, and we receive so many lectures on it. So I'm actually quite glad I mentioned that, because it just showed that I was really interested in what I was about to pursue.
Yeah. So do you think that you've seen that it's a much bigger topic than what you thought when you were actually writing about it?
Oh, 100%, of course. I literally just skimmed like that much, and the topic's absolutely vast.
Yeah.
I think you can never know enough about it.
I remember writing in my personal statement about the trigeminal nerve. And then
Wow.
only when I got into the dental school, I was like, I don't think I actually knew what the trigeminal nerve was.
Oh my God, that's so true.
So
Yeah.
it's only when you get into it that you realize how deep each of these topics actually go.
100%, I agree with you there.
Yeah. So when did you hand in? Do you remember if it was a few weeks before the deadline? When did you hand in your personal statement?
My school was really strict, and they said that they wanted it handed in a good 2 weeks before, but I think I kind of extended that deadline to a week before. So I had everything on my side completed a week before the October 15th deadline.
Okay.
And then I let my school take care of the rest of my college, I mean.
All right. Picking dental schools, or actually no, picking your 5 choices. Talk us through that. How did you go about that?
Oh, okay. So, okay. the only university that I actually saw before applying was Sheffield. I went to the open day the year before, and I really liked the vibe of it. There was just a really friendly, really positive atmosphere. It was a really nice day. It was a very sunny day. So I think I just had very positive memories from that day. I've also got the University of Manchester that's right on my doorstep. So that was a choice that I had in there as well. It just made sense due to where I live, of course. And I think Birmingham, I'd heard a lot about it when I was doing my research as well. I heard that they had an absolutely fantastic dental school, and when I saw it, I can agree with that. It's absolutely spectacular. So Glasgow was a completely off the whim decision. I actually read their on which.com. They have a review on what the average applicant receives an offer in, the grades that they got, and it was actually 2 A stars and an A, and I only had a 3A. My predicted grades were only 3 A's. So I was like, okay, there's no reason why I should apply to Glasgow at all. I'm going to get instantly rejected. But then my sister also studied at a Scottish university, the University of Dundee. And she said something to me about Scottish universities have to admit a certain percentage, a very small percentage of non-Scottish applicants. So she was like, do you know what? It's worth applying to. And my college also said apply to 3 realistic choices and 1 aspirational. So I think that was my aspirational choice, the University of Glasgow. And I heard it was absolutely beautiful as well, their campus. So I thought, why not?
And then you actually chose a 5th choice as well.
Yes. So I'm a bit of an overthinker, and I always like to think, I don't want to get disappointed, so I always prepare for the worst. Yeah. So I think I chose dental hygiene and therapy at Leeds as an alternative. And I knew that if I go into a career in dental hygiene and therapy, I know certain universities also offer an accelerated degree into dentistry. I think Newcastle's one of them. Yeah. So that was my reasoning behind dental hygiene and therapy as well at Leeds.
So you sent your dentistry personal statement to Leeds for dental hygiene and therapy as well?
Yeah.
Did you mention anything about dental hygiene and therapy in your personal statement?
Nothing. I didn't mention anything about dental hygiene and therapy. And I think the 5th choice was such a last minute choice as well. So I kind of just thought, I'm just going to go with it. Whatever happens, happens. Yeah. But I'm not going to stress too much about it.
All right. So you've sent off your application. Nothing you can do about it now. When did you next get any sort of response from any of the dental schools?
I can't remember exactly whether it was either beginning of November or I think it was around November time. Okay. And I remember coming home from school and I got a notification to log into UCAS. I went blank then. To log into UCAS, and I was like, oh no, I've been rejected already. That's why they've let me know so quick. So I logged on and it said something about congratulations, you've been invited to an interview at the University of Birmingham. And I was absolutely elated. I was like, wow, my God, they've got back to me so quick. And I'm so happy. And then I looked at the actual interview date and it was in February. So I was like, wow, they've given me so much time as well. I had about a good 3 months. So that was absolutely amazing. And then I think after Birmingham, things in college continued and I was having mock exams and I had to hand in my historical inquiry. And I think it was around December time, or maybe end of November, I got an interview offer from Glasgow University as well. And then I think around January time, it was Manchester. But Sheffield was actually the latest. I think end of January, I heard from my uni of choice, University of Sheffield, that applied to me for an interview.
All right. So who was your first interview then? Was it Glasgow or was it Birmingham? Who was the first interview?
So all my interviews were actually in February, and I think I had a week between them and then 2 on 1 week. So I think my first one was Glasgow, yes. And it was a long trip to get there. I think it was 4 or 5 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
On the
yeah.
day? You travel on the day or before?
We traveled on the day, but luckily they'd given me an interview time of around 3 o'clock.
Okay.
So I didn't need to get up too early. So that was good, because on the day you have loads of nerves as well, and getting up early just accelerates those.
Yeah. And how did you feel with that interview? Do you still remember some of it?
Yeah, I do actually. I remember there was a room, and it was my first MMI, never completed one before.
Yeah.
And there was like a corridor, and there was around 6 rooms, and there was an A4 sheet of paper laminated with a scenario in each of the 6 rooms.
Yeah.
And I think I went into the first one. It didn't go well, but it didn't go badly either. I think it was just one of those in the middle ones.
Yeah.
And I think it was an ethical scenario. I can't remember what the exact topic was, but one thing I do remember about my Glasgow interview was there was one station that was completely out of the blue, and I think it was about recycling and pollution and the impact of that on our world. And I actually really liked that station, because I went in and we just had a discussion, we had a chat. And I think that's really important in your interviews, is to be able to have that friendly chat. So we talked about initiatives that we could employ to reduce the waste. And I think I remember suggesting, the 5p bags had come in by then. And I think I remember suggesting that we should keep a bin outside shopping grocery stores and supermarkets, where after you've used your bag, you can put it in and the next shopper could take that bag.
Yeah.
In light of coronavirus, I don't advise that at all, but I think back then that was an idea that I had. And then we talked about the impact of plastic on PPE, because of course dental instruments, once they're sterilized, they compact in plastic as well. So we just had a really nice chat about that, and it wasn't something you could prepare for, but it was just really nice to just talk about something out of the blue.
So you mentioned preparation there. What sort of preparation did you do for interview? Was that your first time in an interview sort of setting?
I don't think, was it a first time? Okay. I think to get into my college, I moved, so I had to do a sort of interview for that, but it was nothing like an MMI situation.
Yeah.
And I think the time pressure and the buzzer and going from one room to another, it's actually quite nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But I think because I had the experience of doing so many interviews, I think I had 5 in total. By the time I got to my third and fourth, I was kind of okay with it.
Yeah.
Like I was still nervous, but I just was a lot better at it, and I felt like there was themes that I ran throughout all of the interviews.
Yeah.
But I think the hardest one was my dental hygiene and therapy interview at Leeds. I remember I wasn't even going to go to it, because I remember I had so many interviews in February, and I was and I had to catch up with loads of schoolwork. But I remember one of my friends in biology was said to me, "Why don't you go? It's literally like a free interview course workshop you can go to," because ideally I wanted to pursue a career in dentistry, so there wasn't that pressure attached when I went to that interview. Yeah. But that was the most grueling interview ever. It was so hard, and it was so intense. You had to put all your belongings in a black bag, and you had sticky labels and badges, and there was a whole introductory session. And I think there was about 12 stations as well. So Leeds was by far my hardest interview. And I think beyond that, the rest just seemed easy in comparison.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What would you say stood out from the other interviews that you went to? So Birmingham, Sheffield, what stood out, Manchester, from those interviews?
What stood out? So my 4 universities, apart from Sheffield, they were all MMI, and Sheffield was my only panel interview. So I think in a panel interview, I think for a person like myself that actually quite like public speaking and doing any sort of public speaking opportunities, I quite liked it. And I think it was really nice, because it's only 10 to 15 minutes. You talk about the common questions: why dentistry at Sheffield? Why do you think that you have the skills and qualities needed to be a dentist? And and I think there was one dental student on the panel as well. So she was quite reassuring and friendly, and that was quite nice.
Yeah.
Compared to an MMI where it's very, very pressured for about 2 hours, so it's a lot harder.
Got it. And well, earlier on you were saying that your aspirational one was Glasgow, and
Yeah.
you ended up going with Sheffield. So what happened there?
Okay. So with Glasgow, I had no expectation of even getting an interview from there. No expectation of an offer because even their UK CAP guidelines, what they the last year's applicant, what their average UK CAT was, it was I think a little bit higher than mine. So I had no expectation from Glasgow. But they in fact offered me an offer first, and that was at the beginning of February. So going into my other interviews, I'd already had an offer, so it was quite nice knowing that somebody wanted you at least.
Yeah.
But yes, so I think the whole reason why Sheffield over Glasgow was I'd never been able to see the dental hospital in Glasgow, even when we did the MMI. It was in the medical school building and not the dental school. So I didn't get to have a feel of the place. And when I tried to book in for an open day, I think they had some construction going on, so I wasn't actually able to see the dental school.
Okay.
And then I think when it comes down to it, in that summer holidays, or was it summer holidays? No, just before I had to make the decision, I think the distance from my home and that 5-hour journey, it kind of put things into perspective that I wouldn't be able to come home as often as I wanted, or I think it was just going a bit too far out of my comfort zone. Like I knew I wanted to live out and experience that the university life and independent living, but I think it was a little bit too far out my comfort zone. Even when I look back at pictures now, the campus is absolutely gorgeous. But I think for me, Sheffield was the right choice because I just got that gut feeling when I went there that this is the right environment for me.
Yeah. How far is Sheffield from home?
Sheffield from home is 1.5 hours in a car.
Okay.
Yeah, not too bad. And there are trains going to Manchester very often as well. I think it's like once every 2 hours, once every hour. So it's quite easy to get home if I need to, or if I've had a hard week at university and I just want to come home for the weekend, have some good food, then it's something that I can do quite easily.
Okay. So how was that experience of knowing you had your 5 offers? When you got your first one from Glasgow, who did you tell first? What was that experience of getting an offer like?
Oh my God. I think because people had told me that don't have any expectations. It's so hard to get into dental school and medical school. Even if you get one offer, that's amazing. So I had absolutely no expectations of achieving 4 offers. So with each one, I'd get a notification on my phone, log into UCAS. I was like, okay, that's it. I've been rejected. And I remember just putting my details in and praying, please don't be a rejection, please don't be a rejection. And I don't know how, and maybe it's just fate, maybe the fate and just God, of course, that and I never got a rejection. And I think going through A levels and getting rejections, I think it's a really hard process. So I'm very eternally blessed and so lucky that I didn't go through that, because I think with the stresses of A levels, something like that can really get you in a negative space of mind.
Yeah. Did you have any plans? So if you didn't get the offers, I guess you had the dental hygiene and therapy there, but
yes.
Do you think you would have gone for dental hygiene and therapy, or do you think you'd have taken a gap year? What do you think you'd have done if it wasn't the 4 offers?
I think it wasn't. I think the 4 offers was just like a bonus, because I'd always known that these are just conditional on my grades. If I don't get my grades, then then all of these 4 offers will go to vain, because that's what I need to get in. So I think everything was just dependent on my grades. And even the night before, I wasn't sure how things went, and I was really, really scared. And I remember sitting down with my dad, and we wrote down different plans for if I got A, B, B, if I got 3 Bs and 2 Bs and a C. And we literally wrote down all of the different things that I could do. And there was things like taking a gap year, but what if my grades were so bad I couldn't even take a gap year? And then I know that there's a dental hygiene and therapy course at Newcastle, which they offer like an entry into dentistry. So that was something I was really interested in. But thank goodness to God, and yeah, like when I logged into UCAS on results day, I just saw congratulations, and my world was made, because this is something I've been working for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm quite like I put my 110% into it, and I was so convinced that dentistry was for me. So I think at that point, having not got the grades, it would have been really disheartening.
Yeah. No, well done. It's an amazing feat to be able to get all your offers. Not many people can say that they had all their offers to dental school. Just getting one offer is a hard enough task. So no, well done to you. You must have really prepared extremely well.
I think I did 1 week before Glasgow. I wrote down all the practice questions I could find, and I bullet pointed my answers for that. That it was prepping in front of a mirror loads. But I think more than anything, dental schools, they're not looking for ready-made dentists. All they're looking for is the fact that you want to do the course, you want to be at their dental school in particular, and that you're committed to it. That it's not just, okay, I want to go into dentistry and there's nothing behind it. That you need to prove that you want to do dentistry and you're not going to take no for an answer.
Yeah. And just as we come to a close for this, what would you say to Aliyah going into year 12? Are there any things you would say that would make you better prepared? Or would it just be encouragement? What would you say to yourself?
I would say that whilst you're in year 12, this is a bit of a difficult one, but this is just my personal opinion. Going into year 12, don't have a fixed mindset on what career you want to go into. I'd say choose subjects that will enable you to go into the overall field of your choice. Like I knew I wanted to go into something in science and healthcare, and so therefore I chose biology and chemistry. But then also I chose history to separate those and also to give me a bit of balance. But I would say that don't have a fixed mindset into, I just want to go into medicine, I just want to go into dentistry or engineering or anything. Go in with an open mind. Focus on your AS levels, focus on your A-level subjects, because grades are what determine everything. I could have said that I wanted to go into dentistry, but if I didn't have the grades, then it wouldn't be possible. So I think really focusing on your A-level subjects is really important. And then doing that, then build up your profile, not because you want to go into dentistry, but because you're doing it for yourself at the end of the day. That you should be interested in volunteering, and you should be interested in building, like becoming an all-rounded person. You should never be doing something because you're doing it to get into somewhere. I think that's a mindset you shouldn't have. So I think just get really involved with things going on in your school, go to conferences and workshops, and enjoy your year 12. And then when it comes to year 12 summer, that's when you really need to hammer down and really think carefully, what do I want to do? Have I researched all of the careers involved? Like in healthcare, there's pharmacy and there's medicine, there's optometry and dentistry. Like there's so much available. So just do the right research and find out what's best for you.
Awesome. I know you mentioned about making sure you get the grade, the A level. A question that I've had asked is, how important are GCSE grades?
Okay.
Let's say you meet the minimum requirements for a university at GCSE. Do you think having exceptional GCSE grades makes much of a difference?
I think it's all about applying to universities where they're most likely to accept you. So I think strategically applying is one thing that I did, and I think that's the main reason why I was able to achieve 4 offers. So I knew that my UK CAT wasn't as competitive as most people, but I was pretty confident with my personal statement, and I had pretty good GCSE grades. So then I heard that Birmingham are very GCSE heavy. So therefore, I decided to apply to Birmingham, and I decided to apply to universities that look at the application as a whole. So of course they have the UCAT cutoff, but then they don't rank people according to their UK CAT like more than anything else.
Okay.
So that's something that I took into consideration.
Yeah. Okay. No, thank you for that. So, Aliyah, where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you?
Yes. So I'm new to Instagram. My name is Tutoring by Aliyah on Instagram, and I began this journey I think last year around interview time.
Yeah.
So I think having achieved my offers, I think interviews are something that's so daunting for a lot of people, and they do take preparation. So that's when I began to offer my services, and I think I left it for a while, but now I'm back on Instagram. I'm a lot more active and interactive with my followers, and yeah, I offer all sorts of help from UK CAT mentoring to personal statement guidance. This week I did a really in-depth review of a lovely girl's personal statement, and I put images of that on my review page, in my highlights on my Instagram. My DMs are always open for any sort of advice, but I think my main services I excel at are definitely the personal statement review, yeah, and interview coaching. I'd love to do that for more people.
Awesome. So guys, check her page out. What I'll do is I'll put the for Instagram on the description as well. So catch us in the next video, guys, where Aliyah talks about her time in dental school.
Thank you so much.